Hi, I'm Helly. So in this tutorial, we are going to make a bear flower sprout. First, we are going to make the legs. So for the leg, I am going to use a brown yarn. However, to show you, I am not going to use a brown yarn because it's really hard for you guys to see it. So instead, I am just going to use a white yarn to show you. So first, we are going to make a magic ring. So hold the end of your yarn. Wrap the yarn around your two fingers, and then you have this X shape in the middle. Then turn your finger around and hold your working yarn. Now this is the first loop and this is the second loop, so go ahead and grab onto the second loop and twist it up, and then release the magic ring from your finger while still keeping the shape. Now go ahead and chain one, so yarn over and pull through. Now in the magic ring, we are going to insert 10 single crochets. So we are going to make an X stitch single crochets. So what that basically means, instead of yarning over, you are going to yarn under for these single crochets. So insert your hook into your magic ring, yarn under and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all two loops. So this is your first single crochet. Now just go ahead and do this until you have a total of 10 single crochets. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then just pull the end to close the hole. Just pull it until there is no more hole in the middle, like this. Now for round 2 and 3, all you need to do is just insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you will be needing a stitch marker because we are going to work in a continuous round. So this is your first stitch right here. So go ahead and insert your hook into the first stitch. And I am going to carry the end as I work over the single crochet so that I don't have to weave it in again later. Now just insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch. And take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. Then in the second stitch, insert 1 single crochet. So you should make a total of 10 single crochets, just like on round 1. So right now I have 4 single crochet. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now just go ahead and continue this step for round 3. So once you are done with round 3, this is how it's going to look like. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a dome right now because we have built it up until round 3. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to cut your yarn and make another one for the other leg. I am not going to cut mine because I am just showing you an example with the white yarn. So once you have cut your yarn, all you need to do is just pull through and remove your stitch marker. And also, if you have kind of like an excess yarn here that you have carried, you can just cut it off and make sure that the leg is not inside out. This is the inside of the leg, and just flip it around and make sure it's on the right side. So right now I have 2 of the legs. So what you're going to do to secure it is you're going to insert your hook into the last stitch and pull the yarn And then you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch and grab the yarn and pull. Now just do this for one more time. And do the same thing for the other leg. Now we're going to join these two legs together with a different colored yarn, and I'm going to use a white yarn for this. So first, we are going to attach our new yarn in one of the legs. So I'm going to use this leg, and I'm going to insert my hook right here. This is my first stitch, this is the last stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the last stitch. And I am going to carry the end as I work over the single crochets. To carry it, just put it on top of your crochet hook and crochet like normal. So to attach the yarn, all you need to do is just make a loop like this and put it on top of your crochet hook. And you're going to hold the end while you crochet so you have control over the yarn, and pull through. Then you're going to chain one. So you have to carry the end, or else the single crochet that you make with the white yarn is just going to unravel. So in the same stitch, you are going to insert one single crochet. So insert your hook into the same stitch and make one single crochet. Next, we are going to join the other leg by making one single crochet into this leg. So insert your hook anywhere you like. I am just going to insert it at the same place, which is where the last stitch is, and make one single crochet. Then we are going to continue by making 8 single crochets. So once again, I am going to carry the end while I crochet. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make one single crochet. So just continue until you have a total of 8 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and for the end right here, if you're only left with this much, you don't have to carry it anymore. You're just going to let it rest at the back and ignore it, and later you're just going to hide it inside of the body. So just continue making one single crochet. 6, 7, and 8. Now we are going to make a single crochet 2 together. So you are going to insert your hook into the last stitch and then yarn under and pull up a loop. And then you're going to insert your hook into this part where we have the one single crochet into the other leg, or where we made the chain one on the other leg. So insert your hook, yarn under and pull up a loop, and then just yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So this is so that there is no hole in the middle here. If you don't do this, you are going to end up with a huge hole here. Then we're going to continue by making 10 single crochets. So insert your hook into this next stitch right here. And once again, I am going to carry these 2 ends and continue by making 10 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to cut the end because it's getting on my way. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, and your last stitch is going to be where we have the chain 1 or the first stitch of this leg. And 10. So you should have a total of 20 single crochets. Now this is going to be your first stitch right here, as you can see, and insert your hook into the first stitch and make a slip stitch. And I'm going to tighten up this slip stitch by pulling my loop and then pull the loop tight to tighten up the slip stitch, just so that it's not as visible. Now we are going to continue with round 5. So first chain 1, and we are going to make an increase into the first stitch. So the first stitch is where you have made a slip stitch. So insert your hook into the first stitch and make an increase. So an increase basically means you're going to insert 2 single crochet into the same stitch. So this is my first single crochet, and I am going to mark it with a stitch marker. And then just go back and insert 1 more single crochet to complete the increase. So right now I have 2 single crochets in the first stitch, or what we call an increase. Then we're going to continue by making 3 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch 1 single crochet, so 2, and in the next stitch 3 single crochet, so 3, 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead and repeat this for 4 more times. So in the next stitch, an increase, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. An increase in the next stitch, 1, and 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then an increase in the next stitch, 1, and 2, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then an increase, 1, and 2, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Now we are going to work in a continuous round, so we are not going to make any more slip stitch. So first remove your stitch marker and insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch. And then mark the first stitch with a stitch marker. So be sure to always mark the first stitch so that you can identify where the first stitch is and when each round starts and ends. So on round 6 until round 10, basically 5 rounds, you're going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So the total of single crochet that you are going to make in this round is 25 single crochets. So be sure to always count your single crochet to make sure the number of stitches is right. So right now I have made 5 single crochets, 6, 7, 8, 9, 24, and 25. So go ahead and repeat this until round 10. So I am done until round 10, and this is how it looks like. So first remove your stitch marker, and on round 11 we are going to do a decrease in the first 2 stitches. So we are going to do an invisible decrease. So to do that, you can see that we have a back loop, and then the front loop. So we're going to grab onto the front loop of the first stitch, and then grab onto the next stitch front loop, yarn under, and pull through the first 2 stitches, which is the 2 front loop, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. So this is how we're going to do a decrease, and go ahead and mark the first stitch. Then we're going to make 3 single crochets. So be sure not to insert any stitch in where you have already made a decrease. So this is going to be your next stitch. So just insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. And continue until you have made a total of 3 single crochet. So 2 and 3. So you're going to repeat this for 4 more times. So by the end of round 11, you should have a total of 20 single crochets. Now remove your stitch marker and move on to round 12. So in the first stitch, insert 1 single crochet and mark the first stitch. Then we are going to do a decrease. So grab onto the 2 front loops and make your decrease. Then we're going to make 2 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch. 1 and 2. So you're going to repeat this for 3 more times, or until you are left with 3 stitches at the end. So I have 3 stitches left at the end here, and we're going to make a decrease in the 2 stitches right here. So grab onto the front loop of both stitches and make your decrease, and then insert 1 single crochet into the last stitch. Now remove your stitch marker, and in the first 2 stitches you are going to make a decrease. Grab onto the 2 front loop and make your decrease and mark the first stitch, and then insert 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Right here is your next stitch. So go ahead and repeat this for 4 more times, or until the end right here. So this is my last decrease, and then 1 single crochet in the last stitch. So now go ahead and stuff the body, and also you don't have to cut your yarn because we are going to continue and make the head. Now this is how the body looks like, all stuffed up. So now we are going to move on to the head. So on round 14, which is the first round for the head, we are going to make an increase in each stitch. So insert your hook into the first stitch and make an increase. I'm just going to mark the first stitch first, and then go back to the first stitch to complete the increase. So this is what you're going to do until the end. In the second stitch, insert an increase again, and in the third stitch, an increase. So you're going to continue this until the end of this round right here. Now this is how yours should look like once you are done. We have kind of like a shape build up right here and also right here. So now on round 15, remove your stitch marker, and in the first stitch you are going to insert an increase. And remember to always mark the first stitch. I'm just going to insert one more single crochet to complete the increase. Then in the next stitch, you are going to insert one single crochet. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make one single crochet. So this is what you're going to repeat until the end of this round. So in the next stitch, an increase, and then one single crochet into the next stitch. Now remove your stitch marker, and on round 16 in the first stitch we are going to insert an increase, and remember to mark the first stitch as always. And then we are going to make 5 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch right here and make one single crochet, and then in the next stitch one single crochet. So just continue this until you have a total of 5 single crochet. So right now I have 3 single crochets, 4 and 5. So this is the pattern that you are going to repeat until the end of this round right here, or for 4 more times. So this is how it looks like after you are done, and at the end of this round you should have a total of 35 single crochets. So make sure to count your stitches and make sure that it's right. Yes, it will look a little weird, but after a few more rounds the head will take its shapes. Now insert one single crochet into the first stitch and mark the first stitch with your stitch marker. So on round 17, 18 and 19, all you need to do is just insert one single crochet in each stitch. So I'm just going to continue inserting one single crochet in each stitch, and the total number of single crochet that you have to make is 35 single crochets. So just continue this step until round 19. So once you are done until round 19, we are going to move on to round 20. So remove your stitch marker, and in the first stitch we are going to insert a decrease. So we're going to grab onto the first stitch front loop, and then grab onto the second stitch front loop, and then yarn under and pull through the 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So that is how you are going to do your decrease. Now we are going to make 5 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch, which is right here, and make one single crochet and continue until you have 5 single crochet. So 2, 3, 4 and 5. So you're going to continue this for 4 more times or until the end of this round. So make a decrease, and then 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So by the end of this round you should have a total of 30 stitches left. Now moving on to round 21. So first we're going to make 3 single crochets. So I'm going to insert one single crochet into the first stitch, and then mark the first stitch and continue making 2 more single crochet, 1 and 2. Now we are going to make a decrease. So grab onto the 2 front loop and make your decrease. Oh, sorry, let me just do it again. And then we are going to make 4 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you are going to repeat this pattern, which is 1 decrease and 4 single crochets until you are left with 3 stitches at the end. So by the end, you should have a total of 3 stitches left. So we are going to make a decrease in the first 2 stitches here. And then insert 1 single crochet into the last stitch. Now remove your stitch marker, and we are going to make a decrease into the first 2 stitches and mark it with a stitch marker. Now we are going to make 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So you are going to repeat this pattern for 4 more times. Now on round 23, remove your stitch marker, and we're going to make a decrease in the first 2 stitches and mark it with a stitch marker. Now we are going to make 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. So you are going to repeat this pattern for 4 more times. Once again, a decrease and 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Now on round 24, remove your stitch marker, and again we're going to do a decrease into the first 2 stitches and mark it with a stitch marker. Then we are going to make 1 single crochet. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. So just continue this pattern until the end of this round. So this is how the head looks like once you are done. So before moving on to the next round, go ahead and stuff the head. So once you are done stuffing the head, we're going to move on to round 25. So for round 25, we're just going to make a decrease until the end. So make your first decrease in the first 2 stitches and mark the first stitch, and just continue making your decrease. This is your next stitch right here. So make a decrease. So it's going to be quite hard for you to hold your burr because there are no space left. So you can just pinch the head to get into the stitch. And then this is my last decrease. Now go ahead and cut your yarn and then pull through and remove the stitch marker. Now take your darning needle and thread in your yarn. We're going to close the hole on top by inserting your needle and yarn through the front loop of each stitch. So we are going to insert this sprout later on. This sprout has a wire inside of it, so you will need to leave a little bit of space on top so that we can insert this sprout easily later on. So just insert your needle and yarn through each stitch, and you don't have to pull too tight, you just have to insert it. So once you are done, you're just going to pull the end until the hole closes. So once again, you will need to leave a little bit of space so that we can insert the sprout later on. Now I'm just going to go through the center and go through any way you want and pull. So I'm just going to weave in the end by inserting it through the head a couple of times. And now you can use anything you have and poke the end through the head to hide it. So now this is how the head and the body looks like. Now we are going to move on and make the ears. So first we are going to make a magic ring. So go ahead and wrap the yarn around your 2 fingers and turn your finger around and go under the first loop and grab onto the second loop and twist it up. And then you're just going to chain 1. And now we are going to insert 8 single crochet into our magic ring. So insert your hook, yarn under and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now just pull the end of your magic ring until the hole closes. Now for round 2 and 3, you are going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So basically you are going to make 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. So insert your hook into the first stitch. So I am going to carry the end as I work over the single crochet so that I don't have to weave it in. And to carry the end, all you need to do is just put the end on top of your crochet hook, then crochet over it. So insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. So the step is kind of similar on how we make the body. So if you have done the body, I am sure you are familiar with this step. So just continue inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. So this is my second single crochet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now you are going to repeat this step for round 3. So once you are done for round 3, this is how it's going to look like. So we are going to fasten off. So to fasten off, you're just going to make a slip stitch into the first stitch. And then I'm going to pull my loop and tighten up this slip stitch. And then just chain 1. Then you're going to leave a long tail before cutting because you're going to use this to sew it on later. So I'm just going to cut about this much. And then just pull. And pull the end to tighten up the chain 1. Just pull it to the back or just pull it to the inside like this. So this is how the ears are going to look like. So go ahead and repeat round 1 until round 3 and make 1 more. So I have made my 2 ears. Now let's move on and make the arms, and then we are going to sew all of the pieces together. So to make the arms, it is going to be the same step as the ears. First, on round 1, you are going to make a magic ring and then insert 8 single crochets into the magic ring. And then on round 2, you are going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, just like how we make the ears. However, instead of stopping on round 3, you are going to stop until round 5. So go ahead and repeat the same step as the ears, but do this until round 5. And I'll see you once you're done. First, we are going to sew on the ears. So from the top, we are going to count 3 stitches. So this is the top right here. So 1, 2, and 3. So this is where you're going to sew it on. And then you're going to skip 1, 2, and 3. This is where the ear is going to end. And then from the top again, right here, 1, 2, and 3. So this is where we are going to start sewing. And then 1, 2, and 3 spaces. And this is where we are going to stop sewing. So I am going to place the ear like this, and I'm just going to start sewing. So you are going to insert your needle through both stitches and then go through the first part where we are going to start sewing and then just pull through. Since we don't want this part to show, you are going to go through this side here and pull. Then insert your needle into the second stitch through both stitches and pull. And then insert your needle into the same place where you just pull through and go through the side and just pull. And then insert your needle through both stitches and pull. And then you're going to insert your needle through the side here and pull again. Then insert your needle through the last stitch and pull. Then you're going to insert your needle into the same place here and go through anywhere you like on the hat and just pull. So we are going to weave in the end. So to weave it in, you're just going to pull it a couple of times through the hat like this. And then just cut your yarn. And you can use anything you have and just poke in the excess yarn into the hat to hide it. So this is how the first ear is going to look like. So now go ahead and repeat the same step and sew on the other ear. Now this is how the ears looks like once you are done. So now we are going to move on and sew on the arms. So how to sew on the arms, it is going to be the same step with the ears. So this is what the placement are going to look like. So you are going to leave some space on the neck because we are going to put on a flower later on, and make sure that the arms is aligned with the ear. As you can see, this side is aligned too. So from this part where we have the neckline, you are going to count 1 stitch right here, and then you're going to skip it, and this is where you are going to start sewing. And then this is where you are going to stop sewing. So this is what the placement is going to look like. So now let's sew it on. And for this part, I am going to fast forward it because it is just going to be the same step. So this is how the first arm is going to look like. Now go ahead and repeat the same step and sew on the other arm. Now we are going to sew on the face. So go ahead and take 2 strands of your yarn and insert it into your darning needle. Now from the top, we are going to count 9 rows. So this is the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you are going to sew the eyes on top of round 9 and use the ear as your guide on where to sew it. The eyes should have one space in between of the ears, so you can just go down and see where the eyes is going to be. And then from here, you are going to count 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is where the second eyes is going to be. So I'm just going to insert my needle at the side here, and then I'm going to pull through at where the first eye is going to be. And leave a little end so that we can hide it inside of the head later on. Now from where you just pull out, you're going to count 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to insert your needle at the bottom here. And then you're going to pull through at where the second eye is going to be. So just pull through. You're going to do the same thing right here. So count 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then insert your needle at the bottom here. And then you're going to pull out at the center part. So from here, you're going to count 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. You are going to pull out at the center of the third stitch. As you can see. And just pull through. Then you're just going to insert it at this side here and skip 1 stitch and pull out at the side. And pull, and then you're going to insert it at the center. I'm just going to pull it out at the side here and just pull, and I'm just going to remove my pins. So for these 2 strands, you're going to separate it again, and then you're going to tie a few knots. This is to secure it up. And then cut your yarn, and once again just hide the end inside of the hat. And now you're going to do the same thing for the other end. So now we're going to make the flower and also the sprout. Now we are going to make the flowers. So first we are going to start with a slip knot. So go ahead and make a loop like this and twist your yarn so you have this X shape in the middle. Then put your working yarn on top, and from the back you're just going to pull it. Now just insert your crochet hook into the loop and tighten it up, and make sure that your working yarn is at the front and the end is at the back like this. Now we are going to make 23 chains. So yarn over and pull through. So this is going to be your first chain. So just continue until you have a total of 23 chains. So 4, 5, 6. Now we are going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So we're going to start in the second chain. So go ahead and insert your hook and then make 1 single crochet. So you're just going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So just continue this until the end of this round right here. Now we are going to chain 1 and you are going to turn your work. So in the first stitch, you are going to insert a slip stitch. So insert your hook into the first stitch and make a slip stitch. And then you are going to skip this next stitch, and then we are going to make 6 treble crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over 2 times and skip this stitch and insert your hook into the next stitch. And then yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. So that is how you are going to do a treble crochet. Then just continue until you have a total of 6 treble crochet into the same stitch. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you are going to skip the next stitch. So the next stitch is going to be a little hidden right here. This is the next stitch, and then insert your hook into the next. So we are going to skip this stitch and insert your hook into the next and make a slip stitch. So this is the pattern that you are going to repeat for 4 more times. And then you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch where we made our first slip stitch. So go ahead and insert your hook right there and make a slip stitch. And then just chain 1 and cut your yarn. Pull through and pull the end to the back. So now go ahead and take your darning needle and thread in your yarn. And we are going to weave in this excess yarn at the back like this. So there is no right or wrong on how you weave this in. As long as it is hidden at the back, it should be fine. I'm going to skip this stitch here and just go through the back once again to secure it up. And then just cut your yarn. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other end. And now this is how the flower will look like. So we are going to insert it on the hat and also glue it on later on. So this is how I insert it into the hat. I'm just gonna like pull it and squish the body while inserting the flower. And this is how it's going to look like. So now we are going to make the leaf part. So for this leaf, I am going to use a wire. This is a flower wire, I believe. And this part is a little hard if you're a beginner, so I wouldn't recommend you do this. But of course, if you are up to a challenge, go ahead and give it a try. So first, go ahead and make a slip knot. Then insert your crochet hook. And now you are going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the front of the chain, and when you turn your chain to the back, you can see that we have this back bump. So we are going to insert a hook into the top chain and also the back bump. And then you're going to shape your wire like this, and you're going to put it below your crochet hook and make sure that your yarn is under the wire. And then insert your hook into your stitch and also the back bump. And you are going to make 1 single crochet. And then instead of yarning under like how we did the bear, we are going to be yarning over. Then we're going to make 2 half double crochet. So insert your hook. And then place the wire on top of your hook. And you will have to crochet over the wire like this. So as I said, this part is really tricky and it will take time for you to get used to it. So now we have the 1 single crochet and 2 half double crochet. Now we're going to insert 1 single crochet into the last stitch. And then you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And I'm just going to move this leaf to this side like this. And then I'm going to bend this wire like this, as you can see. And we are going to crochet over the wire. So insert your hook into the first stitch and put the wire on top of your crochet hook, and then your yarn is going to be on top of the wire, and then you're going to insert 1 single crochet, and then you're going to insert 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. And then 1 half double crochet again into the next stitch. And then in the last stitch, insert 1 single crochet. And then you're going to make a slip stitch into the first stitch. I'm just going to bring my yarn to the front like this, and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch. And this is how the first leaf is going to look like. So now go ahead and repeat the same step and make the other leaf without cutting your yarn. So now just chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And once again, we're going to crochet over the wire. So I am not going to use this short part of the wire, which is the part where I bend. So I'm going to bend the wire like this to keep it out of the way. I'm going to use this part of the wire. So insert your hook into the second chain, and of course you will have to insert your hook into the back bum too. So put the wire on top of your crochet hook, and your yarn is going to be on top of the wire. So go ahead and insert 1 single crochet, and then make 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and the back bum, and then put the wire on top of your crochet hook and crochet over it, and then 1 half double crochet again into the next stitch, and the back bum, and crochet over the wire, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, which is our last stitch, and the back bum, and 1 single crochet. So right now it looks kind of weird, so I'm just gonna adjust the back. So how to adjust it is just by pulling this leaf to the side like this and adjust it a bit. Now you are going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So for this part, you're going to bend this part of the wire like this and crochet over the wire. So insert your hook into this first stitch and make 1 single crochet, and then 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 half double crochet again into the next stitch. So basically 2 half double crochet, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch, and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and now just cut a long tail so that we can use it to wrap the wire, and then just pull through. So now as you can see, the wire is a little weird. I'm just going to adjust the wire Now go ahead and take your darning needle and thread in your yarn. And first thing first, you're just going to weave in this end. So I'm just going to insert it into the first stitch here and pull through. And then turn your work to the back. And you're just going to weave it in until you reach this part. So just insert it through the back stitch and pull through. And I'm just gonna use my needle to hide this part of the wire. If you have it, you can hide it. But if you don't have this part, you don't have to wrap it around with your needle and yarn. So this usually depends on how you crochet. But usually when I do this kind of thing, it usually shows at the back. So I usually just wrap it around with my yarn to hide it. And then once you're done, you're just going to bring the yarn here and pull. So this is what you're going to use to wrap the stem. So just remove your needle, and I'm just gonna weave in this excess yarn first before moving on to the next step. Then I'm just gonna cut the excess yarn. Make sure that you don't cut the long tail, just cut the short one. And now with this end here, you're just going to use it to wrap the wire. So just unravel it a bit and then twist it and use it to wrap the wire around. So you're just going to stop here, and I'm just gonna split these two wire and then put the wire at the center here, and I'm just going to wrap it around like this for a few times and then end here. And then you're just going to twist the two wire to secure it. And then go ahead and cut the wire. And cut the yarn too. And now this is how the sprout is going to look like. Now I'm going to use my hot glue gun to glue the flower. So if you don't have a hot glue, you can always use any glue that you have. Now this is how I'm going to place the flower. As you can see, we have two petals at the front, and then one here and one at the back and one here. And now this is how it's going to look like. Now I'm just going to glue my sprout like this. And then you're going to insert it at the center and poke it inside of the hat. And then just press it. Then I'm gonna take my contour palette. And I'm just gonna use the lightest shade. And I'm gonna put a bit on the mouth, and make sure to put little bit by little because you don't want it to look messy. Then I'm also going to use my blush. This is a really old blush which I don't use anymore. I'm just gonna add a little bit and make sure to tap the excess powder. I'm just gonna add it a bit on the cheeks here. Make sure to build it up as you go because you don't want it to be too messy or too pigmented. And now all you need to do is just add a charms like this, or you can always make it with chains. That's it for the tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye!